YouTube, what the motherfucking business is. Just want to make a real quick video on the deadliest war San Diego, probably Southern California, has ever seen. Now let's take a trip to Southeast San Diego real quick, and we're gonna touch on the Skyline Pirus and the Lincoln Park Bloods. Now they once were allies. Skyline Piru. Let's get off into that. Skyline Piru started off as the Hang Gang. They then formed into the East Side Skyline Piru in 1979 and 1980. They were once cool with the Lincoln Park Bloods, until the beef and war started in 1986 after two deaths of Lincoln Park members occurred by Skyline Piru members. Lincoln Park Bloods started off as the Paul Lowe's Control in the 1970s. Then they later on became Lincoln Park Piru, or what they would consider to be the Sendo Mob. You know what I'm saying? Lincoln Park was never Crips now. Just got put out there, you know what I'm saying? They wore red and they wore green, but you'll mostly catch Lincoln Park wearing green. You know what I'm saying? Their homies and allies are the 5.9 Brims, the Emerald Hills, I think it's the Mac 90s or something. Basically everything within the 50s and shit like that. They enemies of the Skylines, the Parkside Pyrus, O'Farrells, Rolling 40 Crips, the West Coast Crips, National City, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Now let's touch on into the beef, into the bloody war that spilled within the streets of all this shit, man. Now, in August 13, 2004, two young men from Skyline Piru were walking on Skyline Drive when they were approached by three Lincoln Park Bloods asking them what's bracking. One of the Skyline members responded back saying, "You know what's bracking," then threw up Skyline Piru right at him. Another Lincoln Park member then threw up Lincoln Park back at them, then resulted into the Skyline member asking for a fade. You know what I'm saying? The Skyline wanted his fade after all that shit occurred, but the Lincoln Park was like, "Nah, man, it ain't time." Then they drove off while saying that shit. You know what I'm saying? But later on that day, man, the Skyline Pyrus right after that alerted all the Skylines like, "Look, man, there's a white expedition going around this motherfucker. They full of Lincolns. Y'all be on the lookout for them." But that didn't stop them. You know what I'm saying? Because then they still came through that same night and shot at them and ended up shooting one of them. You know what I'm saying? Then the very next day, four men were playing in Skyline Drive. They was playing basketball in Skyline Park when the same white expedition pulled up with Lincoln Parks, shot at them, killing one. You know what I'm saying? Now, another incident, December 11th at 4 a.m. in 2005, where five people were sitting inside an Infinity in the parking lot of Bay Vista Apartments, which is ran and held by the Lincoln Park Bloods. You know what I'm saying? A man approached the Infinity and started shooting into the Infinity. One out of five people in the Infinity was shot and killed by multiple bullets that were sprayed into the car. Two men, ages 26 and 15, from Skyline Piru, were both charged and convicted of the murder. The reason for the slaying was to try to kill two members of Lincoln Park that was inside the Infinity, but none of them was shot or killed. It was a female who was shot and killed instead. You know what I'm saying? Now, June 6, 2014, a young man from Skyline Piru was shot and killed, you know what I'm saying, on Sienna Street. He was a well high-ranking Skyline member. You know what I'm saying? It was also part of a double murder where a 20-year-old was shot and killed, you know what I'm saying, in the same shooting, as well as a third who was shot, but he survived. And then on August 17th, 2015, a man from Lincoln Park was killed by police while on the run for a murder of a high-ranking Skyline Piru member. So he was killed by the police while on the run for killing the Skyline. You know what I'm saying? Now, this shit get wild. You know what I'm saying? Because in 2003, a Skyline Piru member who shot at a group of Lincoln Park Bloods outside of a liquor store to get revenge for the killing of his best friend. He ended up killing two innocent females and injuring a 7-year-old. He was sentenced to life behind that shit. In November 6, 2004, a 15-year-old who was from Lincoln Park neighborhood, but he was not a Lincoln Park Blood member himself. He went to go see his girlfriend who lived in Skyline territory. As they went to the store, to get some shit and come back to their house or to her house, six guys from Skyline Piru ran up on him, calling him a leprechaun, which is a diss word in Lincoln Park. You know what I'm saying? They then started hitting him while one of the members from Skyline pulled out a gun and shot and killed him. You know what I'm saying? Now, the shit the shit get wicked within all this, man. Like, there's been numerous killings, numerous murders. This probably the bloodiest war that San Diego has ever seen. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't too far from each other. You know, Skyline is a huge neighborhood. Lincoln Park is a huge neighborhood itself. You know, Lincoln Park being a neighborhood from fellow rapper Midgie Slick, which also had a show on Gangland that a lot of y'all can go check that shit out. And Nick Cannon being from there, which Nick Cannon's father being one of the people who started Lincoln Park. You know what I'm saying? And ain't too many famous people that came from Skyline to be known to the world or to the media for me to put out there. But it's rappers like Big June, you know, rappers like Kill Switch, shit like that. But Skyline is a big hood, you know, it's a big gang. It spread it out through a lot of states normally within the South, a lot of states in the Midwest and the East Coast and shit like that. Lincoln Park spread it out through a lot of states as well. But it's a huge war that been going on that used to be cool, but they ended up cutting ties and started warring and killing with each other after 2 men from Lincoln Park was killed by Skyline, you know. And this is one of the bloodiest Piru and blood beefs ever, because there's probably more people from Skyline locked up for killing a Lincoln Park than for killing a Crip. There's probably more people in Lincoln Park locked up for killing a Skyline than a Crip. You know, they don't really too much give a damn about killing or beefing with the Crips. Is more so on killing a Lincoln or killing a Skyline, but it get wicked within that shit, man. Southeast San Diego, shout out to Skyline, Piru, the whole neighborhood. Shout out to Lincoln Park, Bloods, the whole neighborhood. One love.